Okay, we're going to go over the Mexican-American War. You should have read Chapter 11, Lesson 3. This is just a brief recap of that. It makes more sense if you've read the lesson. So, Mexican-American War. In 1845, Mexico owned the California and New Mexico territories, so pretty much all of this in purple and pink. President Polk, over here, offered to buy these territories, so he wanted these territories, but Mexico refused. Polk was disappointed and was trying to think of a way to gain these lands. Like, how can I get these? How can I get California? How can I get these lands here? Relations between Mexico and the United States were strained at this time. The United States had recently annexed Texas and claimed the Rio Grande as the border. So Rio Grande is this river here. Mexican officials said that the Rio Grande is in our land. So Texas said this is ours, and Mexico said no, this is ours. Mexico said the Nueces River over here was their land. So it's like, you belong north of the Nueces River. This is your land. So they agreed that this was Texas. Both Mexico and the United States said this was Texas. They argued over which boundary was theirs. Was it the Rio Grande River or the Nueces River? In 1846, Polk sent U.S. soldiers to patrol along the Rio Grande, so in the disputed territory. And believing that U.S. soldiers were on Mexican land, because again, Mexico said this was their land, they saw U.S. soldiers invading their land. So, a group of Mexican soldiers attacked the U.S. soldiers here. When it was all over, 16 U.S. soldiers were wounded or lay dead on the ground. When President Polk heard the news, he was outraged. Told Congress, Mexico has invaded our land. So Congress declared war on Mexico. Many Americans celebrated. The Mexican-American War raged for the next 2 years. First, the U.S. Army invaded New Mexico and easily took the territory without firing a shot. So they came in here, took New Mexico area. The U.S. Army then invaded California and captured the territory with very few problems. Next, the U.S. Army invaded Mexico, where they faced fierce fighting. So as they moved further south into Mexico, they had more difficult fights. Eventually, the Mexican army surrendered. By early 1848, the United States had won the war and gained control of half of Mexico's lands. Many Americans cheered and celebrated. So again, when they captured California, let's go back to this. Here's all the land that the United States got at the end of the Mexican-American War. California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado. All this land was added to the United States. This portion in orange, the United States will later buy from Mexico in 1853, a few years later. But all of this, the United States got from Mexico, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. And that was the end of the Mexican-American War.